Welcome to Dream Tale Sleep Stories. Tonight's reading is The Day My Cat Became the Mayor. Settle into your bed or sofa and let your shoulders, jaw, and eyelids grow heavy. Inhale slowly. 1, 2, 3. Sigh the air away, allowing the day to fade into quiet dark. With every soft inhale, you invite fresh English phrases. With every gentle exhale, stray thoughts drift farther off. Behind my voice flows a gentle theta wave melody, renowned for guiding the mind toward deep relaxation. Soon, the music will shift into soothing alpha wave tones, carrying you toward a calm shoreline of dreams. Keep your eyes closed, or follow the captions, whichever feels right. Simply receive the rhythm and resonance of the language. Deep in rest, tonight's phrases will take root like seeds, ready to bloom into stronger English skills with the morning light. When you feel settled, hold that unhurried breath and allow yourself to drift into the tale. The Day My Cat Became the Mayor begins now. And when the story's final line has faded, the music will linger a little longer, carrying you gently deeper into sleep. The Day My Cat Became the Mayor. My name is Emma, and I live in the small town of Willowbrook with my family and my orange tabby cat, Whiskers. Whiskers is not an ordinary cat. He's smart, friendly, and has this strange ability to make everyone he meets fall in love with him. But I never imagined that one day he would become the most important cat in our entire town. It all started on a rainy Tuesday morning in October. I was getting ready for school when my mom called from downstairs. "Emma, there's something strange happening at the town hall. Come and see this." I rushed downstairs with Whiskers following behind me, his tail swishing with curiosity. On the local news, a reporter was standing in front of our town hall, looking very serious. "Good morning. I'm here in Willowbrook, where an unusual situation has developed regarding the upcoming mayoral election," she announced. "It appears that due to a clerical error, a cat named Whiskers has been officially registered as a candidate for mayor." I nearly dropped my breakfast cereal. "Mom, did she just say Whiskers?" I stared at my cat, who was sitting calmly by the window, seemingly unaware that he had just become a political candidate. My dad looked up from his newspaper with a confused expression. "How does a cat accidentally get registered to run for mayor?" he asked, adjusting his glasses. The news reporter continued. "According to election officials, the error occurred when someone filled out the registration forms using the name Whiskers instead of Wilkins, who was the intended candidate. By the time the mistake was discovered, it was too late to remove the name from the ballot." I looked at Whiskers again. He was now washing his paw with great concentration, completely oblivious to the fact that he was about to make political history. "This is ridiculous," my mom said, shaking her head. "Surely they can fix this mistake." But as we watched the news, it became clear that the election committee had decided to let Whiskers remain on the ballot. The law states that once a candidate is officially registered, they cannot be removed unless they withdraw voluntarily, the reporter explained. Since Mr. Whiskers cannot legally withdraw his candidacy, he will remain on the ballot for next week's election. The whole situation seemed so absurd that I couldn't help but laugh. "Whiskers, you're going to be a politician," I told him, scratching behind his ears. He purred loudly, which I decided to interpret as his acceptance speech. Over the next few days, the story spread beyond our small town. News crews from the big city came to interview us, and Whiskers became something of a celebrity. Reporters wanted to know about his political views and his campaign platform. Of course, Whiskers couldn't actually answer their questions, but that didn't stop people from getting excited about the idea of having a cat for mayor. "What does Whiskers think about the town's parking problem?" one reporter asked me seriously. I looked at Whiskers, who was currently trying to catch a dust particle floating in a beam of sunlight. "Well," I said, thinking quickly, "I think he believes that all parking spaces should be large enough for comfortable napping." The reporters wrote down everything I said as if it were real political commentary. It was both hilarious and slightly overwhelming. The other candidates for mayor weren't sure how to react to their new furry opponent. Mrs. Henderson, who had been running on a platform of more flowers in the town square, seemed particularly annoyed. "This is making a mockery of our democratic process," she complained to anyone who would listen. Mr. Roberts, the other candidate, tried to use humor to his advantage. "Well, at least we know Whiskers won't be making any long, boring speeches," he joked at a campaign rally. But even he seemed a bit nervous about the attention Whiskers was getting. As election day approached, something unexpected began to happen. People in our town started to genuinely consider voting for Whiskers, not because they thought a cat could actually run a town, but because they were frustrated with the usual politics and wanted to make a statement. "You know what?" said Mrs. Garcia from the grocery store. "Maybe what this town needs is someone who isn't interested in arguing all the time. Whiskers seems like a peaceful candidate." Old Mr. Johnson, who had lived in Willowbrook for 70 years, agreed. "I've never seen that cat cause any trouble. Can we say the same about our human politicians?" My friends at school thought the whole thing was amazing. "Your cat is more famous than most movie stars," said my best friend Sarah. "Do you think he'll remember us little people when he's mayor?" I started to feel a strange sense of pride in Whiskers. Even though I knew he couldn't really be mayor, the fact that people were responding so positively to him made me happy. Maybe there was something special about my cat after all. On election day, our house was surrounded by news vans and curious townspeople. Whiskers, completely unaware of the chaos he had caused, spent most of the morning sleeping in his favorite sunny spot by the kitchen window. "Shouldn't we take Whiskers to vote for himself?" my mom asked jokingly. "I don't think cats are allowed in polling stations," my dad replied. "Besides, he'd probably just try to knock over the voting booth." As the day went on, reports came in that voter turnout was higher than it had been in years. People who hadn't voted in previous elections were coming out just to be part of this historic and ridiculous moment. That evening, our family gathered around the television to watch the election results. The local news anchor looked almost as surprised as we felt when she announced the preliminary results. In a stunning upset that has captured national attention, Whiskers the cat has won the mayoral election in Willowbrook with 42% of the vote, she said with a barely contained smile. Mrs. Henderson received 31% and Mr. Roberts received 27%. I stared at the screen in disbelief. Whiskers had actually won. My cat was going to be the mayor of our town. Whiskers, who had been napping during the announcement, opened one eye and yawned as if being elected mayor was the most natural thing in the world. The next few weeks were a whirlwind of activity. News crews from around the country came to Willowbrook to cover the story of the cat mayor. The town council had to figure out how to legally handle the situation, since obviously a cat couldn't actually perform the duties of mayor. They decided that my family would serve as Whiskers' representatives, helping to interpret his wishes and make decisions on his behalf. It was an unusual arrangement, but everyone seemed willing to go along with the experiment. "We'll try to think like Whiskers would think," my mom explained to the town council. What would make a cat happy in this town? The first item on Mayor Whiskers' agenda was improving the local animal shelter. The mayor believes that all animals in Willowbrook should have comfortable homes, I announced at his first town meeting. The proposal passed unanimously. Next, Whiskers seemed to support creating more green spaces around town. The mayor enjoys spending time outdoors and believes that everyone should have access to peaceful, natural areas. My dad explained. This proposal also passed easily. Perhaps most surprisingly, Mayor Whiskers' administration focused on bringing the community together. Under his leadership, the town organized monthly outdoor festivals where families could spend time together. Local businesses could showcase their products, and people could simply enjoy each other's company. "You know," said Mrs. Henderson, who had initially been opposed to Whiskers' candidacy, "I have to admit that this town has never been friendlier or more united. Maybe we needed a mayor who couldn't speak to remind us how to listen to each other." Whiskers also inspired several practical improvements to the town. A new policy was implemented requiring that all public meetings include a 10-minute quiet reflection period, which everyone understood was really a nap time, inspired by Whiskers' favorite activity. The town's budget was reorganized to prioritize simple pleasures, maintaining the parks, supporting the library, ensuring that the streets were clean and safe for walking. These weren't complicated political issues, but they were things that made daily life in Willowbrook more pleasant for everyone. As Mayor Whiskers' first year in office came to an end, the town had changed in ways that no one had expected. Crime was down, local businesses were thriving, and the community spirit was stronger than it had been in decades. "I think Whiskers has taught us something important," reflected the local newspaper editor in a year-end article. "Sometimes the best leadership comes from focusing on simple, universal needs: safety, comfort, community, and the occasional sunny spot for a peaceful rest." Whiskers himself seemed largely unaware of his political accomplishments. He continued to spend his days doing typical cat things: sleeping, playing with his toys, and supervising my homework from his perch on my desk. But every now and then, when visitors came to town to meet the famous cat mayor, Whiskers would sit up a little straighter and purr a little louder, as if he understood that he had become something special. The story of Mayor Whiskers spread far beyond our small town, inspiring other communities to think differently about leadership and democracy. Universities wrote papers about the Whiskers effect, and political scientists debated what his election meant for modern democracy. For me, though, the most important thing was that Whiskers was still just my cat. Every morning, he would wake me up by purring next to my ear. Every evening, he would curl up on my lap while I did my homework. He might have been the mayor of Willowbrook, but he was also my best friend. As I write this story, Whiskers is preparing to run for re-election. His approval ratings are higher than any human politician in the state. And his opponent, a golden retriever named Buddy, doesn't seem to pose much of a threat. Looking back on this incredible year, I've learned that sometimes the most unexpected events can lead to the most wonderful outcomes. Whiskers didn't become mayor because he was qualified or because he had great political ideas. He became mayor because people were ready for something different, something honest and simple. And in his own quiet, furry way, Mayor Whiskers gave them exactly what they needed. A reminder that leadership isn't always about grand speeches or complicated policies. Sometimes it's about creating an environment where people can be their best selves, where communities can thrive, and where everyone has a comfortable place to rest at the end of the day. Whiskers is sleeping peacefully beside me as I finish writing this story, probably dreaming of his next mayoral adventure. Tomorrow, he'll wake up, stretch his paws, and continue his work as the most beloved mayor our town has ever had. And if that's not the perfect ending to a perfectly ridiculous story, I don't know what is.